What do you think is causing people not to film?
A lot of it causing people not to film is psychology. It's like overanalyzing, overthinking, perfection, like mental roadblocks that stop people. There's people who are 50 to 60 plus years old who are getting business from content. And there's people who are not the most emotional on camera. They get a ton of business from content. It's a lot of that overthinking and overanalyzing that stops most people.
All right, welcome to an episode of Real Estate vs. Technology. I'm super excited for this one today, as this is an individual that I haven't had and we haven't had on the show for going on about 4 years. So he had basically been on Real Estate vs. Technology over 4 years ago, and this is when we actually had Dan Gandy on the show. This is 78, episode 78. If you want to check it out, we have the one and only Andrew Bayon, and now we're up to 500 plus episodes. I have his current site behind us, A Impact Media. He's crushing it with hyperlocal content. And I love what you're doing, Andrew, as far as being focused from the perspective of people want to know what's happening, whether it's Tampa, Florida or Gilbert, Arizona. Like, we want to know. And like, that's what my wife and I did. We were moving from California and we're coming to Arizona. This guy that I saw on YouTube, not even an agent, was filming all these areas. And I wanted good schools. I wanted to have a good growth rate. I wanted to have a safe community. And we chose Gilbert, Arizona. And it was nice for me not to have to reach out to a specific agent, have a tough conversation about pre-qualification and all those things, when I just kind of wanted to get more information. And you have one of your clients here on the homepage who has been crushing it alongside a lot of additional clients that you have with hyperlocal YouTube content. And we've had various people like Channel Junkies on Real Estate vs. Technology. We've also had Levi Lassick, Travis with Passive Prospecting, and there's different coaches and providers out there that are in this space. And I love what you're doing. I'm glad that you're back on the show. And it's a bit different from where you were to where you're at now. I think you've pivoted and shifted a bit. And how did you evolve over the past 4 years to get into launching this company, doing the hyperlocal stuff, filming and not really filming? Do you film, or is it just doing the editing, the thumbnail, the copy?
Yeah, we don't do any filming, just everything else behind the scenes. So
okay. All right. Well, congratulations on all that. And it's crazy to have you back on. It looks like you now have got some facial hair now.
Yeah, a little more facial hair, longer hair, growing it, nice. All the hair.
I love it, man. I love it. Oh,
don't look like a kid anymore.
Yeah. I love it. Well, you're looking good. And also, I know before we got on the air, we're talking a little bit about personal development as well, and health and fitness, and how that's a big part of both of our lives. So in today's episode, we'll talk a little bit into that as well. But for our viewers and listeners that want to get caught up from your previous episode to now and scaling and growing over the past 4, almost 5 years now since you've been on, what was a catalyst that, because it seems like you've been evolving, you've been pivoting, you've been growing. It's awesome because we're in a similar space where we do the marketing positioning primarily on the website, and you do it on the video side, and I'm sure other things as well we could talk about. And so your name has been coming up. And so I'm like, oh my God, let's do this. Let's get you back on the show. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything happens for a reason. So bring us up to speed, man.
Yeah. The short answer is I was working behind the scenes for a lot of real estate teams for the past 7 years. Prior story before mentioned the other one where I worked with the builder, and the first 3 to 4 years of those 7 was kind of doing everything. We used to do blogs, website content, social media, ads, and spending a lot of money for a handful of teams. And probably 4 years ago, really, there's a few people where we did YouTube for, not at the level that we even do today. And I just noticed how I didn't even do YouTube well back then. I didn't even know it well. And he was still selling 10 to 20 million a year in sales from it. And then fast forward to today, I think we're going to generate well over 11 million in GCI across all the channels we work with. We also started working with Levi, run his channels. So just really noticed that hyperlocal is like in the age of like AI, in the age of like all of this disruption, and there's over 100 billion or 100, yeah, $1 billion getting funded into like AI and tech in real estate. And while that can like commoditize the experience at a national level, it can't commoditize it at like a hyper local level. So ultimately you realize that it's like all these people are generating multiple six figures a year in GCI just from doing hyperlocal content. And we just were like, why not double down on that and consolidated it, focus on YouTube. And then now we are kind of rolling out a local newsletter service we've been doing for the past 3 years. And those uh, are kind of like the main two that we do. A lot of people we work with do social media and generate 300,000 or more sometimes from just Instagram hyperlocal content. But I just think the hyperlocal is the way for the agent to win in the long run. Future.
You're seeing the YouTube, and then now you're seeing the Instagram. We actually had a guest on, Brad Lee. He has That AZ Life, and Brad Lee generated. He was on our show a few weeks back. He generated 41,000 followers within 7 months and hundreds of millions of views just by doing hyper local focused content. It's one thing to watch the news and the spinoff with that, and it's another thing to be able to be in your local area and want to know what's happening. Is Apple coming in? Is there any big tech companies moving in? New development? What's happening with that? And I think with the YouTube side, which I love the most, is like experience. People want to understand, what is the experience? What is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like if I'm going to be moving into a new build community? What is going to be the amenities? What am I going to be expecting? And that's something that I was looking for as a consumer, is like, how am I going to feel being in that area and living there and raising my family there before I was actually there?
Yeah. There's actually someone, his name's Austin Clark on Instagram. He was a new agent like 3 to 4 years ago. He actually started the green screen reels for like local news, and that spun off a lot in KW, Real EXP, and then ended up being like the new way that everyone was growing on Instagram. And now there's a lot of people like Bradley, a lot of others who've seen success doing that. So my guess is like probably because he was like one of the first. He was actually, you might know of him. He was in Arjun's like little mastermind group. He actually comes a little bit from that network in SF.
Okay.
So
hey, shout out to Arjun Mortgage. Let's fucking go energy. He still hasn't been on the show, man. I've been wanting to get him on this podcast for I don't know how many years. I haven't tried that hard, but there was a time where I really wanted to get him on, and then that time kind of just passed. Busy, right? A lot going on. And so Arjun, let's get you on the show if you're watching this, or if you know him, tell him Mr. Liftoff wants on Real Estate First Technology. But no, it's so true, because I think what's happening is now people more than ever are starting to pivot and understand that we want to know what's going on at a hyperlocal level outside of any narrative, right? When you think about the news and the media and what's happening, there's so much twisting, and there's so much like back end. What is the person's intention before they put something out there? And I look at it like, okay, we just want true, authentic intention. Like, I want to show and share what's happening. And then like, there's another book you were talking about, but I was talking about, and I thought you were talking about before we got on air, the 7 Triggers to Yes, which says if you do something for someone else, they're going to be more inclined to do something back for you. And so, they're going to want to like your content or follow your content or share your content when now they're going to that new barbecue place that said our viewer or listener right now is going to do with the green screen on Instagram, hopefully after the show, talking about, cool places to eat or restaurants, And so what have you seen, Andrew, from the perspective of YouTube that's working really effectively right now?
So I would say it's kind of similar on YouTube as Instagram. From everyone that like I've interviewed on our podcasts and everything that we've seen and done, it's like you think of it kind of like a funnel, and you can go lower down the funnel and talk about like where to live, like living in your city. So like, for example, living in Phoenix, Arizona, living in Gilbert, and you can go micro down that funnel. And just being that expert of deciding where to live is going to be the closest to the transaction that you can get, and you can still get views, you could still grow, whether it's showing areas, neighborhoods, what's it like living there, basically answering the two big questions: where to live and what's it like living there. um, that is going to be the closest to the transaction an agent can get. Now, if you want to start getting views and getting a little boost on the channel, then you can go a little above that and talk about like what's new, what's coming to the area, more of like kind of like a coming soon development, future growth, uh, a lot of commercial like real estate that are medium to big size stuff. And that can help grow a channel and target local people. But that by itself isn't going to be what necessarily converts, because it can get very news related. So if you don't have some real estate tie in there, that's where you see a lot of like, especially on these Instagram accounts, like they'll get a lot of views and a lot of subscribers or followers on, but they don't convert as much. And it's because they only are sticking to the news.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you see that's most effective for ROI and return on investment? Is a certain type of CTA or something that needs to be said? Because I was at an event yesterday, and it was a mastermind over in Lincoln, California, over in Sacramento, and one of the guys, his strategy was YouTube, and his name's Mark, and then there was another guy that was also doing YouTube, but he never said he was a real estate professional, and he would get 150,000 plus views, but zero transaction and no transaction and no traction from the perspective of return and lead generation. So what are you seeing that is maybe a secret sauce that could be said or done to maximize return on investment and lead flow?
Yeah. So there's kind of a way to think through strategy where it's YouTube, you have kind of like three circles. You have your new audience, your casual audience, your core audience, and you want the content to kind of map a little bit into all of them. So like your new audience is people who have no clue who you are, no clue about the area, no clue about why they should live in Tampa, Florida or Gilbert. And then you have the core who knows about it, or experts know absolutely everything. So it's like you need to map to all if you can. And the way you do that is you kind of have a little varied strategy on like the buckets, which is just kind of like what are the things that you talk about. Um, and the simple version is like if you at least like we have one channel, for example, the one behind you that you mentioned, where the only thing she talks about is like where to live in San Francisco and showing different tours, areas, homes, etc. And she generates, I think she was already close to 30, well, she was already 30 million closed and pending like 2 months ago. She was probably way higher than that now. But and all she answers is like where to live. And it's just because marketing is not saying a few things, it's not saying 100 different things, it's saying a few things 100 different ways. So you want to use like your hyper local area. Like for example, you might use Tampa to get people into the funnel, get them onto the channel, but then you want to go deep into the neighborhoods or suburbs or cities or towns that you work in. Like there's South Tampa, there's the beaches like Clearwater. And if you are seen as the expert in those areas, then they're more likely to work with you. Um, and there's like a few other things. Like one, you have to say at some point in the video, you need a call to action, like at least at the end of the video, saying like, if you made it this far, there's a good chance you're looking to buy or sell in Tampa. If that's you, email me at hello@andrewbayon.com. We've helped over 3,000 people buy or sell in the area. Uh, or you could just click the link in the description below. So it's like you do have to make the ask in the YouTube video.
Yeah.
you can't just make content and never make a call to action too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So we're gonna go a little bit deeper on this because I want to nerd out. I want to nerd out for our viewers and listeners right now, and I want to basically show them something because one company, Channel Junkies, if you can call them a company, they're EXP and they have a downline, and so they have a channel which is the Living in Houston, Texas channel. They used to be up in Oregon, and I just want to showcase something really quick because him, and also I want to showcase for our viewers and listeners out there, Jeb Smith as well, just because I think that it's good to be able to have them understand like what this looks like and how they can be able to like maximize this. So I'm going to share. So these guys here, one thing that they like to talk about in their YouTube is they like to talk about the map. And they say, hey, you might be watching a video in Houston, Texas, but maybe Houston, Texas isn't where you want to live. And it might be, say, spring. So after watching this video in Houston, Texas, and they show the map and how it's interactive, and they like point on the screen, and they'll basically use like a loom.com and they'll just film it without themselves. Then they can go ahead and say, hey, we have basically featured videos, top schools, featured listings, and top places. And then they have like a playlist of videos that can like play into that area. Then they could search for homes. They can look at schools, parks, what have you, or the schools. They could then download the guide, and then they can find out about restaurants, dining, coffee, whatever. And so they get leverage the rabbit hole of driving people to the website, which we talked a little bit off air. And then if I jump around a little bit and I show you conversion, within 30 days, 1,800 site views, 67 engagements, and this is down by 12.5%, 1.5%, 26 phone calls, 37 form submissions, 4 click to emails. Because I think the viewers and listeners need to understand it's one thing like what you were saying, which is very powerful, and they may not call or text or email because they might think, from what I've understood and from what I'm seeing with someone like this and this site here, is that they're just kind of like, I'm not really ready to make the move just yet. So we want to ask them, okay, well, let's take them down a rabbit hole and find out, when do they want to make the move? Is it 3? Is it 6? Is it 12 months? So asking them, when do they want to make the move, and what is their budget to make the move? And do they have a preferred lender at hand? So the strategy, like we're talking about in today's episode, is the YouTube channel, but the system is this standard operating procedure to have them fill out the form, then they can search for homes, and they can download the guide, they can read reviews, then they can, this is call or text. I think they should have a set up a meeting now button. And so that's how that works. And then check this out. So what we've also learned for our viewers and listeners out there is we've learned that if you want to do an explore area, you have more success doing an explore area focusing on communities than you do focusing on cities, just because of the fact that you're going hyperlocal, which works closest to the transaction, like Andrew was just saying. And so this talks about 1985, 54 units, bedroom, square footage, bathroom, yada, yada, within this community. Now, if I just was to search this community and think, how can we get the most exposure? Then we look it up and you'll see that he is going to index under Zillow, first page, Google organically. So those are just things that we've seen to work and to be effective from the search engine optimization side, outside of some other techniques as well.
Yeah. And I would say a big thing with like YouTube, and when it comes to like really any content, like websites, Instagram, like any platform, a lot of agents in the YouTube world went down the relocation, moving to, and once you look at the numbers on that, it's such a low number that if you're only chasing relocation, you're literally pushing away at a minimum half of your audience, if not 90% or more. So that's a big thing, is like you have to become an expert in somewhere. And it's better to be an expert in a few areas than to try to be the expert in like everything as well.
Yes, I love that. And for agents that are seasoned, what I like to tell them, for viewers and listeners that are like thinking about going into the YouTube strategy, SOI. I love saying, hey, if you have a sphere of influence, think about videos from the perspective of, you do email newsletter, you have a YouTube channel, why not do videos for your SOI? And it could be something about music in the park. It could be something about hyperlocal focused stuff. that you could be adding value to your past customers, which then could yield potentially additional deal flow that they could subscribe, they can like, they can connect. And so short-term SOI, long-term new audience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say that you can definitely do that, especially with the coming soon develop bucket. Like we found that if you do, there's kind of like a, let's call it topic that we did over a year and a half ago or more now. It's called like everything new and coming soon to X area. And it's basically like a listicle video. And it's like you talk about the 5, 10 plus big things coming to that area. And then the nice thing is you talked about 10. So now you can go deep into one a month later, talk about that, and then how it's affecting the people, the homes, the area around it. And that's how you can kind of prolong that for like 6 months. And stuff like that, local homeowners care about. And that's why like Levi and a few others have kind of started a local news channel. And it's like the big things that are kind of changing and happening in their area. And that's like definitely one way to target local people. Another one is like market videos, targets local people. Another one that we found is kind of like this lifestyle home tour. It's because home tours themselves don't really perform because $1 million house in Phoenix, like basically shuts the door to everyone who can't afford a million. And then the people who can afford a million don't like what a million can buy you today. So you create such a small audience. Whereas like if you said touring this insane home in Gilbert, Arizona, it's like your audience is way bigger because they want to see this insane house in Gilbert. And that longer form video does better because you talk about the home, you tour them through the home, but you also sell the area as well. You're not just selling the house at that point. So
Very, very interesting. And it makes a lot of sense because people don't want to have to be in like a box or categorized in a specific way, like being priced out, or like that's not going to do me well. I want a $5 million house. I don't want that $1 million home. So I like that approach. I like, today we're going to show you this epic house and all the amenities and the experiences you can have with your friends, family, and loved one. Stay tuned to the end because we'll drop the price. And then maybe people want to stay into the end because they want to see the price and then kind of go from there, which makes a whole lot of sense. Question for viewers and listeners out there. What are you seeing is going to be we'll say some points where people can't get past, like maybe clicking record? Is it that like maybe they don't know to like go out and do that walkthrough tour or hire a video company or film themselves, or they should just sit in front of like a green screen or just maybe just do like a Loom video showing a map? Like, what do you think is most effective, and what do you think is causing people not to film?
a lot of it causing people not to film is psychology. It's like overanalyzing, overthinking, perfection, like all of those like mental roadblocks that stop people. And like we have people that we work with, channels that like we track over 150 channels. Like I could tell you age, size, demographic, like color, race, area, like it doesn't matter. Like none of those, like there's people who are 50 to 60 plus years old who are getting business from content. And there's people who are not the most overly emotional on camera. They get a ton of business from content. And it's a lot of that overthinking and overanalyzing that stops most people. And then over perfection, like a lot of it is just you have to use the reps of doing the content as the way to get better versus like, oh, I need to go outside and record. No, like there's so many channels that were built behind a desk and with an iPhone.
Pick your lane, front of a desk, iPhone, MacBook Pro, loom.com at the desk, or go out in the community and showcase what you want to showcase. I think personally, I would want to do behind the desk. Majority of my YouTube videos are behind the desk. I got a very big, tall order to fill because I'm definitely not an Alex Ramosi. Uh, so I'm behind the desk. And then I do wish to go out more in the community. I would say that, not an excuse. It's fucking hot. So it's 115 degrees out and you got to go film outside. It's very, very demotivating. Not to mention you get sweaty and you're like, okay, is the house AC on to like record in this house or not? So that's like, I think for those that are watching in Arizona, maybe you have 8 months of outside and then you have like 3 or 4 months, give or take, inside filming.
Yeah, it's basically the same reason that like complexity kills businesses, complexity causes inaction. So it's like the more simple, whatever you're gonna do to create the content, just do that. Like, for example, there are people who are just so successful that like a lot of their complexity is time, and it's great. Pay a videographer, record with them. There's other people, it's like they have time, but maybe they just don't have time to go out and record every video. Great, go shoot 4 videos a month at home. Like, you don't, it's just whatever is going to be the most simple for you. And then you get better with each video and you maybe add complexity. Like every month, you're like, okay, maybe I'll add 1 video outside this month. And it's like, not try to do all 4 outside.
Yeah. I like that. That's a really good way of kind of navigating the process for your clientele. Like if someone's watching and viewing right now and they're thinking they want to work with you, like what would be your ideal client persona that you would want to work with? Because I'm sure there's a certain type of customer that resonates with you more than another type of customer, just because in the life cycle of a business owner, we'll say a real estate professional, who would be the most ideal to work with?
I mean, one, they just have to be more future forward than like not. Like if you don't want to create videos, it's just not going to work. If you're someone who wants leads, it's not going to work. Like you have to want to build something, and then want to build a brand. That's probably the biggest thing. And then the other thing is like we've just realized that we can help when we do more, and we can control the success of the channel. So it's like every channel has 5 people, like strategists, a manager, an editor, writer, and a designer. And like one of our YouTube managers worked at HubSpot. Another one's worked at million plus channels. And it's like we can help a lot more when we manage most of the process. So it's like we're not there to be an editor. We're not there to just like get the job done. It's just like what's going to actually move the needle. So you are paying for a little bit of a team, but that comes with a price. And so like brand new agents, it doesn't make sense for them to work with us because their money goes further hiring an admin for their time than a YouTube team. So
I love that. I love the transparency. And it's so true. I feel like you and I are on the same page when it comes to like being more upfront and honest and understanding like where the person's at and just giving it to them straight. Because there's no reason to hire a company and learn the hard way and then feel like, especially if you're someone that feels like it's someone else when it's technically just go look in the mirror. It's probably you. Got to do some self-evaluation. And also it's so smart. You do have to be a visionary. And I think that the biggest thing is for anyone who's doing listening right now, you have to make sure you understand. It doesn't matter if you hire a liftoff agent, it doesn't matter if you hire, a impact media, like you need to be intentional. And I feel like so many agents out there just are not intentional. We had 2 podcasts scheduled for today. I'm not going to drop any names. And so we sponsor on the liftoff agent side that is our sponsor here for Real Estate First Technology. It's a company that goes out and does like broker's tour. And it's all about giving feedback. And so Jen and I go out, Jen's with us, and she wasn't here today on our podcast, but she's been on some of the other podcasts, and we're working together at Liftoff Agent on the sales side. And so we have an agent, and this might be you, so just listen up here. We have an agent who's supposed to be on the show today, and she did not click the check or hit yes, I'm going to go. So it didn't show up to her calendar. She didn't get the text. She didn't get the email. She didn't get the automation. So when you live and die by a calendar and you get the automation, then you know what's going on. And I don't know how many people are viewing and listening that like literally they're like, this happened to me, that's happened to me. And you're just like running around like a chicken with your head cut off all day long because of intention. So I love how you're saying, like, if you get on YouTube, set the intention to say, hey, you might not know exactly how many views or transactions or whatever, but set the intention that you're going to go 100% in. You want to help families, buy or sell, and you want to help your SOI. And your intention is to be able to impact as many people as possible. And that kind of was perfect because Impact Media, and just setting those intentions, I feel like makes so much more sense, and people have more success with it. So with your customers, do you go through that kind of process of like, let's set some intentions for the outcome of your channel and what we want to do here when you provide them a team?
I think of I like Alex Herbosi's quote of like, in business, you can't be in something for like a month or even a year. You have to be in it for a decade. Now, obviously, if you're paying like a partner or something, like it can't like be dumb and be like, yeah, I'm just going to work with this person for 10 years. And like, there's like naive, not that naive, like, but if you're going to go and say, I'm going to give this workout routine a month, like, and be like, oh, I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to put on muscle. It's like, yeah, it's probably not going to really work unless you give it like 6 to 12 months. And it's the same thing with like farming as it is really any lead source. It's any lead source works. It's will you work and will you work the like what needs to be done for that lead source. So it's like, you can do Zillow, make a lot of money. You can do open houses, make a ton of money. You can do like cold calling, door knocking, content. Like, it just, will you put in the work for a long enough time to see the results? And then are you just constantly getting better too at it?
The one thing. If you're going to do it, go all in, be intentional to have more success with that process. I love that. So I want to shift our gears a little bit. So I think the viewers and listeners now have lots to think about when it comes to marketing, YouTube positioning, focusing on the one thing. I want to get a little bit deeper into like, Andrew, like, how do you keep up with like a positive mental attitude? How do you keep up with, I mean, we know what's been going on with this market, right? The past like 24 months has been a roller coaster. Interest rates are finally starting to go down a little bit. We'll see what happens with this whole, political stuff that's going on. Actually today, if you guys know about that the young dude, Charlie, he's
oh yeah, I saw something like that about
yeah,
that.
he just got shot or something like that. So God bless him. How do you stay consistent with, day in, day out clients, demands, pivoting? I know that you also have some things down the pipeline as far as potentially a rebrand. I mean, what keeps you going?
I mean, as an example, like again, in this factors in all of our creative team, like editors, designers, writers, like we have 55 people. And like when you're doing a lot, there's just a lot of room for error. So there's a lot of ways to mess up. There's a lot of things. And ultimately you have to set the environment that you want to like live in. And I've realized that like, for me, like I realize that if you don't take care of yourself first, it's the whole saying of like, put the life mask on first. So, I track my sleep. I like eat really well. I work out. Like I learned that even in business, you need some boundaries, especially with clients and stuff. Like I couldn't do what we do without the team. So that's obviously a big piece as well. But if you don't build your environment for like who you want to be tomorrow, then you're not really setting yourself up. And I think a big thing is like, I do like to learn. I do consume a lot of podcasts, try to learn from people more so outside the industry. And then our podcast is one way I learn from people inside the industry as well. But it's a lot of those things about setting the right environment. It's like, do I want my life to be chaotic? because I've had those times, or I can create a little more structure. And there's this one agent in Miami who was a friend, and he works with hundreds of athletes, celebrities. And he said like one thing that I remember today, it's you want structured fluidity, and that structured fluidity in your life creates way more opportunities than not having any structure. And it, basically what that means is you have things that you put as rocks in your schedule, things like working out, family time, you have spending time with a loved one, you have time to like unplug, like those are your rocks. And then you can obviously be fluid about it around that. But if you don't have any structure at all, then you're just running your life in chaos at that point. And I've done that before, but I've learned the hard way that it's way better to have structure.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you have a nervous breakdown, I've been there too. It's like, all right. So holy Toledo's. Because yeah, I mean, when you have the team and you're supporting your team, and then you're also supporting your clients, and then you're also supporting your friends or family or loved ones, it could be a lot. And that's where I feel like a lot of individuals in our industry run in that chaos world, and they kind of just let the, whatever, let the tide take them wherever the tide takes them. And I think that there's something to be said about if you're on vacation or you have a scheduled a lot of time to be able to like go where the freaking wind wants to blow you, cool. But I feel like when it comes to business and being structured and organized, there is something to be said about that. There is something to be said about, the morning routine. I know that, Alex Hermosi, kind of a little bit of a rolling theme here. Congratulations to him and his $105 million in literally one webinar and one book launch. If you don't know who he is, check him out. But it's like, I like that time in the morning. So then if chaos does break out, because I'm sure, Andrew, you and I are the ones that get to put out the fires, and whether it's team stuff, client stuff, you name it. And if you don't have that time first thing to be able to just like take a breath, like literally I like to do controlled breathing or the red light therapy. And then I do like my hydration drink and then go to the gym and really get that time to ground myself. So that way I can have opportunity to be able to be strong in a sense where when something or someone isn't as strong as I am, I can give them that contrast to ground them back out because I've already grounded myself, so we can come back into coherence.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about like when you kind of control your day, you kind of control how it's more proactive. It's this why there's people out there who like they wake up, the minute they wake up, they go straight into work or straight like into chaos, and then the rest of the day is chaos. And like again, I've done that before, so I'm not like saying that we all have seasons in life, but if that's the way you lead your day, then it's no surprise that everything else follows. But I think the other thing is like in this business, you want to play long-term games with long-term people, and you also want to not ride this sales roller coaster, meaning if you're going to do something, you have to do it practically every day or every week for a long enough time. And I think the biggest problem in sales that I was lucky enough to learn early at 17 or 18, through a lot of like my own lessons, consistency is credibility. And consistency is like the number one thing that if you can be in sales, if you can be in business, it unlocks everything. And it really that follows with like health as well too.
Dude, well said, man. And it's so true. It's like people out there, you don't need to have a million views. You don't need to go viral. You don't need any of that stuff. Like, if anything, just stay consistent. And even if it's a consistent 2 to 5 to 1,000 views per video, whatever, after 3, 6, 12, 24, 36, 48, months, years down the line, it's going to come back full circle.
Well, think of it like this. Tom Ferry only gets 1,500 views a video on YouTube. The
wow.
biggest name in real estate, like his average view count is like 2K for average for him. So it's like if he's one of the biggest names in real estate and he gets like 2,000 views long form, it's very easy to look at the views and be like, I should get 100K views. Well, you might not want 100K views because that might bring the wrong audience as well.
Yes, yes. I actually did a YouTube video put out there yesterday. It's like, do you want to go deeper or wider with your clients and with your prospecting? Because I feel like it's just slowing down and having an in-depth conversation like what we're having right now, sharing with the world is more powerful and impactful than it is like trying to reach 100,000, 200,000, or a million views. Because what happens is, and I've gone viral, the posts start to like take, it's not even your post anymore. It's like a bunch of people talking back and forth. It's taking a mind of its own. And you're literally just like on this ride, like, now what's going on? It's like, this is completely out of context. This post has nothing to do with the original actual context or the original point of why I posted it in the first place. The intention is completely changed. And that's where I feel like it doesn't even make a difference anymore. It really does not. I think that just staying consistent makes a huge difference. And so, why do you? I know it's been about 10 years before we got on the show. You talked about this. Why do you wear the Whoop? Why do you eat so healthy? Why do you track these things? Is it a feeling thing? Is it a longevity thing? Is it I want to biohack and I want to be 150 years old? Like what? Like why? Like why are you doing the things that you're doing?
I mean, a lot of it comes down to like looking myself in the mirror and be like, how do I want to show up? Who do I want to be? And it's like, if I want to live a certain life, I have to live up to a certain standard. And if I want to achieve certain things, it's like, am I doing things that are in alignment with that? And just setting up the best environment for that to happen. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of like unhealthy, toxic, like successful people. I just ask myself, one, do I admire the way Elon Musk works? Yes. But do I want his life? No. Um, Look at like the flip side of the coin. Mark Zuckerberg, equally as successful, but he's been married to his high school sweetheart. He's got a family. Like he looks healthy. Everyone's like, Uncle Mark. He's not like it's become a meme now that like he's got fashion and a soul instead of a robot. So I just look at the people and I'm like, which one do I want to model? And I just would rather pick the latter over the former in most cases. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been overweight as a kid. Like, I've been unhealthy, and I've seen what life is like on the other side at this point now, and it's just way more enjoyable when you can show up with energy than not. So,
Dude, yeah, 100%, 100%. I was actually so I worked out. I got a home gym, and so I worked out at the home gym and didn't have time to go to the gym. Flying in late last night after traveling. Daughter needs to go to school, right? Have the family, and so yeah, I was like taking a run, and there's this guy who is on our other podcast called the Liftoff Experience. If y'all want to check it out, you're more than welcome. Way more personal development, not a lot of real estate talk, but we're kind of getting a little bit of a taste of it right now as we go back and forth, Andrew, for our viewers and listeners out there. And I was running, and this guy saw me running, and was on the podcast. He likes cars, whatever. And he's a detail guy. He's like, oh, I want to detail your GTR, detail your TRX, whatever. And so I was like running down the creek, and then he filmed me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't look bad. Like that's the guy, that's the guy I want to be. So it's nice when you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, all right, like, yep, I'm that guy. It feels good.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's self-motivating at a certain point, and I understand like you have to trudge through the mud first to get there. So
yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to leave this segment with going deeper from the perspective of like impact. I know it doesn't really necessarily mean like the end goal is the end goal, and then it never stops, right? We always continue. But for you and for what you're doing and serving and supporting and growing in the company, do you have an end goal? Do you have somewhere where you want to take it where maybe there'll be an exit, you go off and do the next thing? Like, what does it look like for you?
I would say I'm open to multiple outcomes. Like you can build a great business that cash flows and you can live a great lifestyle. And that's one way. You can build a business, you can exit, you can go into something else. So like ultimately I want to build for options, and then we'll kind of see what life is in that point, 5, 10 years down the road. It's like, which option should I take? For me, it's just like, I've been in sales, I've done the grind, like, and I've built a little bit of a brand, and I've seen the difference between the two. And it's just way more fun to build a business that you have a brand behind. And I'm just like, can I help others do that? And every form of everything that we do is kind of come at some vein of that. Like the podcast allows me to share other people's story and help them kind of give their impact into the world. Um, like everything I do probably actually falls back on like one moment where like my grandfather passed away, and I basically realized that like you can spend all this time accumulating information, expertise, knowledge, become this expert, and you can go away and everything's gone except for the things that you end up sharing with other people. And for most people, that comes in the form of their close family and close circle. And I'm like, well, why not share it with more? And that's where like the brand, the content all allow you to have that bigger impact just beyond yourself too.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I mean, and that's so true. People forget what you said and did, but they won't forget the way that you made them feel. So, coming from the perspective of doing something to have more impact, to be able to leave a legacy outside of just like, cool, here's hundreds of millions of dollars because I have a life insurance. It's like, cool, like experiences and the things that you do as far as the dinners or the travels or the trips or the meaningful conversations. And that's where I feel like, a podcast is great for anyone who's viewing and listening as well, because a podcast is something that's it's encapsulating. Like Real Estate First Technology, now we're over 515 episodes, and we've been doing this past 5+ years. Is it like the number one podcast? No, but I don't care about that. Like, that's not what I care about. I care about having more impact from the perspective of people will see or hear what we're talking about because they're meant to hear and see what we're talking about. And it's like that divine essence, timing, call it what you will, God, universe working in mysterious ways. And it's that which is more powerful. And then when someone, like, I'll meet someone at an event or whatever, I'm sure it's happened to you too. And it's like, oh, I was listening to your podcast and there's this one thing that came up and it was so cool and thanks so much and yada yada. And then that makes you kind of like feel like, heck yeah, like,
That's why you do it.
yeah, you're like, I'm doing something right here. I'm helping people out. I'm giving back, and that's where I feel like, you and I are busy people. And that's why I wanted to be on the podcast and do the podcast and film us, one, catching up, two, adding value all at the same time to maximize opportunity for time and efficiency, right? Hence, that's why one of the reasons why we're doing the podcast, full transparency. Now people that are watching for almost an hour. But yeah, man, I appreciate your transparency. God bless your grandfather. And that's awesome that you're doing something to be able to leave a legacy more so than just with your close friends, family, and relatives. And as we get closer now to the end of the show, is there anything that you would like to share with the viewers and listeners? And also, what would be like the last piece of advice, golden nugget you want to leave for the viewers and listeners today?
We're rebranding to Known Local, which I think as a brand kind of encapsulates everything that like we try to embody. Is like, one, like being known but not being well known, but known well. And then two, local. I'm just very bullish and we're bullish as a team, as like as an agent. Like, the number one thing that you want to invest time in, whether it's doing events, whether it's doing content, whether it's like your sphere, your past clients, it's like, how do you become the hyperlocal expert? And if you are that and you get 100 to 300 plus deals a year from your hyperlocal market, then you can build an amazing business. Like, you don't need to be the everything for everyone. So,
Dude, very well said. Congratulations on the rebrand. Looking forward to seeing that go live. Very grateful to be able to be one of the first to hear it on the podcast, Real Estate versus Technology. Very serendipitous because this was not planned, and I had no idea that you were doing this before we actually had an opportunity to speak and talk. And I think that it goes back to the narrative like we just talked about. You can go deep or wide. You can go as wide as you want and go viral and be the celebrity and all the things and have a lot of small conversations or none at all because people have never actually had a conversation with you. Or you can go hyper local, go deeper and resonate to a point where your impact can actually vibrate at a frequency where other people will then be impacted and they will impact others because of what you've done. And I think that it doesn't need to be viral per se. It could just be more intimate. So I really appreciate your time today, man. Thank you so much for
really
coming.
Appreciate you having me too.
Dude, I can't believe it's already been over a year. And talk a little bit really quick. They want to check out your podcast. We'll put links down below. How long have you had the podcast for? What's the name? I haven't even checked it out yet. I got to check it out myself.
Breaking and Building Leaders. We've been going 9 months strong now of all in person. Made that big switch this year. And then it's been going on for about 2 years. We have a newsletter. Everything's free. And we just have a lot of great guests on there and known local if the website's live. But the podcast is kind of like my mini passion that I've been really focused on building this past year. So,
dude, congratulations. Yeah, we have our in-person podcast studio for the Liftoff experience. That one pretty much is all in person. And now we do the Real Estate versus Technology 50-50 in person and then also digitally, like as we see here with utilizing StreamYard, a really good tool for anyone out there that want to use something like this. But go check out Andrew, give him a like, give him a follow, go check out his podcast. Love what you're doing, man. Congratulations to you and all your success, and looking forward to co-creating, adding additional value with our companies behind the scenes to be able to impact, serve, support, and help our industry.
Looking forward to it.
Likewise, bro. And thanks to all our viewers and listeners out there, as it is our intention for you to take things from our episodes to apply to your business, to have more massive success. Like, subscribe, notification bell, share the podcast with someone that you think that should see it. We'll see you all on the next one.